Captain felt the cold creeping through the walls of her ship. The gentle current had been drifting in space for 6 hours now, and the temperature was dropping fast. Around her, the bridge crew worked quietly at their stations, their blue-green skin starting to show the pale patches that meant hypothermia was setting in. "Engineering report," she called out, her voice steady despite the fear growing in her chest. "Main engines are completely dead, Captain," came the reply from Chief Engineer. "The quantum core suffered a cascade failure. We have emergency power only. Life support will last maybe 8 more hours if we're lucky." Closed her eyes for a moment. 8 hours. They were 3 days from the nearest outpost and 2 days from any other inhabited system. No ship could reach them in time. "Communications, send out a distress signal on all frequencies," she ordered. "Include our position, situation, and time remaining." The young communications officer, barely out of the academy, looked up with wide eyes. "Captain, should I specify that we're a refugee transport? Maybe mention our cargo manifest." "No," said firmly. "Just send the standard distress signal. If pirates here were carrying civilian families and medical supplies, they might come looking for easy prey instead of rescue." The signal went out across the void, a desperate electronic scream for help. Knew it would reach the Galactic Rescue Authority within an hour, but she also knew what their response would be. The GRA had ships, but they were all too far away. Minutes passed like hours. The bridge grew quieter as systems shut down to save power. In the passenger compartments, 5,000 families waited in the dark. They had sold everything they owned to buy passage to a new world, hoping for a better life. Now they might never see it. "Incoming transmission from GRA Central Command," the communications officer announced. The familiar blue hologram of Admiral appeared above the command console. His 4 eyes showed genuine sadness as he spoke. "Captain, we have received your distress signal. I must inform you that our nearest rescue vessel is 47 hours away from your position. The vegan medical ship Mercy's call is attempting to reach you, but they estimate 36 hours at best." Felt her heart sink. Too long, far too long. "I'm sorry, Captain," Admiral continued. "We're broadcasting your position to all ships in the area, but most civilian vessels lack the speed or equipment for this kind of rescue. I wish I had better news." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in heavy silence. Looked at her crew, seeing her own despair reflected in their faces. She had been a ship captain for 20 years, had survived 2 wars and countless emergencies. But this time, there was nothing she could do. "Captain," the communications officer said suddenly, his voice excited. "I'm getting a response to our distress call." "From who?" asked hope flaring in her chest. "Unknown vessel. They're transmitting on an old frequency using basic galactic standard language protocols. The signal is coming from the edge of explored space." "Put them through." The voice that came through the speakers was unlike anything had ever heard. It was deep and rough, with strange tonal qualities that her translator struggled to process. "Unknown vessel in distress, this is captain of the Terran vessel Indomitable. We have received your SOS and are moving to assist. Please respond with details of your situation." Stared at the communications panel. "Terran? What's a Terran?" Her first officer leaned over. "I think they mean human, Captain, those creatures from the Death World in Sector 7. Humans had heard rumors about them. Stories told in spaceport bars about a species that had somehow survived on a world so dangerous that most galactic scientists couldn't believe anything could evolve there. Class 12 Death Worlds were supposed to be impossible to inhabit. She activated the transmitter. "This is captain of the colony ship Gentle Current. We have suffered complete engine failure and are losing life support. We have 5,000 civilians aboard, mostly families and children. Our life support will fail in approximately 7 hours." There was a brief pause before the human voice came back. "Understood, Gentle Current. We are currently 18 hours out from your position at maximum burn. Can you extend your life support that long?" 18 hours, still too long but closer than anyone else. "Negative," replied. "Our people are already showing signs of hypothermia. 8 hours is our maximum." "Copy that. We're going to push our engines past safe limits. We'll be there in 12 hours. In the meantime, gather everyone in your central compartments and have them share body heat. Shut down all non-essential systems. We're coming for you." The transmission ended. looked around the bridge, seeing a mixture of hope and confusion on her crew's faces. "Captain," her first officer said quietly, "humans are supposed to be primitives. They've barely joined galactic society. Their ships are probably old and slow. How can they reach us faster than the GRA?" Didn't have an answer. She had seen the intelligence reports on humans. They came from a world with crushing gravity, violent weather, and predators that would terrify most galactic species. Their technology was described as crude but functional. Their ships were built like weapons instead of the elegant vessels most civilized species preferred. "I don't know," she admitted, "but right now they're our only hope." She opened ship-wide communications. "Attention all passengers and crew, we have made contact with a rescue vessel. They will reach us in 12 hours. I know this is longer than our current life support estimate, but we're going to make it work. Move to the central compartments immediately. Stay together, stay warm, and stay hopeful. Help is coming." As her crew rushed to carry out her orders, remained on the bridge, staring out at the stars. Somewhere out there, a ship full of creatures from a death world was racing to save them. She didn't know what humans were really capable of, but she was about to find out. The temperature continued to drop, and frost began forming on the walls. But for the first time in hours, Captain felt something other than despair. She felt hope. The Indomitable pushed through space at a speed that would have terrified most ship engineers. Captain Maria stood on the bridge, watching the engine readings climb into the red zone. The ship groaned and shuddered around her, but she had faith in both her vessel and her crew. "Engine status," she called out. "Running at 120% capacity," Chief Engineer reported. "The fusion cores are stable, but we're burning through fuel fast. We can maintain this speed for 14 hours before we risk burnout." "That'll have to be enough," said. She had done the math. Even pushing their engines this hard, they would barely reach the ship before their life support failed. Behind her, the bridge crew worked with quiet efficiency. These were veterans, men and women who had served together for 3 years on patrol duty at the edge of human space. They had seen action against pirates and hostile aliens before, but never anything like this. "Captain," called Lieutenant from the sensor station, "I'm picking up multiple contacts approaching the distress signal location, 3 ships moving fast." Felt her stomach tighten. Classification: unknown design, but the drive signatures match military vessels. Every human in the bridge crew knew about They were one of the few alien species that humanity had encountered before joining the larger galactic community. Raiders and slavers, they preyed on weak ships and defenseless colonies. They were also one of the reasons human ships were built more like warships than exploration vessels. Time to intercept the ship. At their current speed, they'll reach the gentle current in 6 hours. Closed her eyes and did the math again. The humans would arrive 6 hours too late. "Open a channel to the ship," she ordered. A few moments later, the alien captain's voice came through the speakers. The translator made her words sound mechanical, but could still hear the fear underneath. "This is Captain. Captain, this is. Be advised, you have 3 hostile ships approaching your position. They'll reach you in approximately 6 hours. There was a long pause. When spoke again, her voice was quieter. "What kind of hostile ships?" "Military vessels, probably raiders looking for easy salvage and slaves." Another pause, longer this time. "Captain, how do you know about I thought humans were new to this part of space." Smiled grimly. "We've met them before. They tried to raid one of our outer colonies 2 years ago. It didn't go well for them." "Are you saying your people have fought successfully?" "I'm saying the 3 ships that attacked our colony never made it home." On the long-range sensors could see the ships closing in on the helpless vessel. She knew their tactics. They would demand surrender first, then board and take whatever they wanted. If the crew resisted, they would be killed. If they didn't resist, they would be sold as slaves. "Captain, listen carefully. When they arrive, they'll try to talk first. They like to intimidate their victims before attacking. Don't give them any information about your cargo or passenger count. Don't tell them about us." "Why not?" "Because if they know help is coming, they might just destroy your ship and run. Right now, they think you're helpless. Let them keep thinking that." Turned to her weapons officer. "Lieutenant Park, what's our missile inventory?" "Full load, Captain. 24 nuclear warheads and 36 conventional explosives." "And All 4 turrets operational. We have 500 tungsten rounds per gun. The bridge crew continued their preparations while the Indomitable raced through space. In the engine room, Chief and his team worked to squeeze every bit of speed from their fusion reactors. In the weapon bays, Marines checked their equipment and prepared for possible boarding actions. Open the channel to the ship again. Captain, how are your people holding up? We've moved everyone to the central sections like you suggested. The temperature has stabilized, but it's still dropping. We estimate 9 hours of life support remaining if we're careful. 9 hours felt a mixture of relief and worry. They had bought themselves some time, but it would be close. Captain, Lieutenant called out. The ships are slowing down. They're taking up positions around the vessel. On the main screen, could see the tactical display. 3 sleek ships, designed for speed and intimidation, surrounding the bulky civilian transport like sharks circling wounded prey. The ships were smaller than the Indomitable but heavily armed for their size. Picking up communications between the ships and the gentle current, the communications officer reported. Put it on speaker. A new voice filled the bridge, speaking in the harsh, aggressive tones typical of military officers. Vessel, this is commander of the ship, Blood Hunter. You will surrender immediately and prepare to be boarded. Any resistance will result in the destruction of your ship. Listened as Captain responded, her voice carefully controlled. We are a civilian transport in distress. We have no weapons and pose no threat to you. That is not your decision to make, the commander replied. Reduce your remaining power to minimum levels and prepare for boarding. You have 10 minutes to comply. The channel went silent. Could imagine what was happening on the ship. 5,000 civilians, families with children, all trapped and helpless while predators closed in. Captain, her first officer said quietly, we could try to warn them off. Maybe they would retreat if they knew we were coming. Shook her head. They don't retreat from unknown threats. They just kill everyone on that ship and disappear before we arrived. She looked at the tactical display again. Her ship was still hours away, and they were about to be boarded by some of the most vicious raiders in known space. All hands, this is the captain, she announced over the ship's internal communications. We have a refugee ship under attack by raiders. I know we're still hours away, but those people are counting on us. We're going to push our engines until they scream, and when we get there, we're going to show these raiders what happens when they threaten innocent civilians. Around the bridge, could see her crew's faces harden with determination. They were ready for a fight. Lieutenant, continue monitoring the situation. Let me know the moment those ships make any aggressive moves. Yes, Captain. The Indomitable continued its desperate race through space, engines running beyond safe limits, carrying the hopes of 5,000 refugees. Behind them, the ships moved closer to their prey, confident in their superiority. None of them had ever faced humans in battle before. They were about to learn why that was a mistake. Commander studied the ship through the of his command vessel. The Blood Hunter was a predator built for quick strikes and intimidation. Its angular black hull was covered with weapon ports, and its engines could outrun most civilian ships in the galaxy. Today's hunt looked like it would be easy. Status report, he barked at his tactical officer. The refugee ship has minimal power and no weapons, Commander. Their shields are down and they're venting heat. Life support appears to be failing. Excellent, how many passengers? Scans show approximately 5,000 life signs, mostly civilians. The cargo holds contain medical supplies and construction equipment. His predatory smile widened. 5,000 would bring a good price in the slave markets. Medical supplies were always valuable. This would be a profitable day. Open a channel to the refugee ship. The blue-skinned face of the captain appeared on his screen. She looked tired and frightened, exactly how like his victims. I am commander of the hegemony. Your ship and all personnel aboard are now the property of the hegemony. You will prepare for immediate boarding. Any resistance will result in the destruction of your vessel. The alien captain's expression remained calm, but could see the fear in her large eyes. We are refugees seeking passage to a new colony world. We have nothing of value to you. That is for me to decide, replied. You have 10 minutes to shut down all systems and prepare for boarding. Do not test my patience. He cut the transmission and turned to his crew. Begin docking procedures. Boarding teams, prepare for immediate insertion. I want this ship secured within the hour. As his ship moved closer to the helpless transport, felt the familiar thrill of an easy hunt. They were a weak species, evolved on a peaceful world with gentle gravity and mild weather. They would offer no resistance. "Commander," his communications officer called out, "I'm receiving a transmission on an open channel." "From the refugee ship." "No, sir, from an unknown source. The signal is strong, suggesting a nearby vessel." Frowned, there were no other ships in this system. "Put it through." A voice came through the speakers, speaking Galactic Standard with a strange accent that made the words sound harsh and aggressive. "Vessels, this is Captain of the Terran ship Indomitable. You will withdraw immediately from the refugee vessel and leave this system." Looked at his crew in amazement, then began laughing. "Terran, did this primitive just threaten me?" His tactical officer looked up from his console. "Commander, I'm not detecting any ships in the area." "Scan again. They must be hiding behind an asteroid or debris field." "No, sir. All scans show empty space. Whoever is transmitting is either very far away or using some kind of stealth technology." Activated the communications panel. "Unknown vessel, this is Commander of the Warship Blood Hunter. You have no authority in this system. Leave immediately or face the consequences." The response came back immediately, without any fear or hesitation. "This is my final warning, Commander. Withdraw your ships now." Some amusement turned to anger. He had been fighting in space for 20 years and had never been challenged by some unknown species. Certainly not by humans, who were barely civilized according to galactic intelligence reports. "You dare threaten the hegemony? We have 3 warships against your single vessel. Surrender now and I might let your crew live." "Negative," came the calm reply. "You have 30 seconds to begin withdrawal." Turned to his weapons officer. "Arm all weapons. Prepare to fire on the refugee ship if this mysterious captain doesn't back down." "Sir, targeting sensors still show no hostile vessels in range." "Then they're either cowards hiding behind long-range communications or idiots about to get themselves killed." 20 seconds passed, then 30, was about to order his ships to begin boarding the refugee vessel when space itself seemed to tear open. The jump point appeared without warning, a swirling vortex of energy that made instruments scream with proximity alarms. Most ships emerged from hyperspace gradually, sliding gently back into normal space. Whatever was coming through did it like a predator lunging from ambush. The human ship burst through the jump point in a blaze of exotic particles and gravitational distortions. It was larger than any of the vessels, and its design was unlike anything had ever seen. Where his ships were sleek and elegant, this thing looked like it had been built for war. Its hull was angular and heavily armored, covered with weapon systems that seemed crude but numerous. "Holy ancestors," his tactical officer whispered. "That thing just jumped directly into normal space at nearly 1/4 light speed. The stress forces alone should have torn it apart." The human ship, Indomitable according to its transponder, took up position between the vessels and the refugee transport. It was close enough that could see details of its construction through his ship's magnification systems. The armor looked thick and practical rather than decorative. Weapon ports dotted its surface like the eyes of some massive predator. "This is Captain," came the voice again, now much stronger and clearer. "You have 15 seconds to begin withdrawal, or I will consider you hostile and act accordingly." Stared at the alien ship. It was impressive, certainly, but 3 against 1 were still good odds. His ships carried the latest plasma weapons and quantum torpedoes. The human vessel looked like it was built with primitive technology. "All ships, this is attack formation Gamma. Show this primitive what happens when you challenge the..." His 3 ships spread out, taking up positions to surround the human vessel. The Blood Hunter and its sister ships Night Stalker and Dark Wing were fast and maneuverable. They would circle the human ship, hitting it from multiple angles until its shields collapsed. "Human Captain," transmitted, "you are outnumbered and surrender now and I will make your death quick." The response came back immediately, and for the first time, detected something like amusement in the alien's voice. "Commander, I don't think you understand. You're not trapped in here with me. You're trapped in here with something that evolved on a world that tries to kill everything on it every single day." Felt a chill run down his spine. There was something in that voice, a confidence that spoke of experience with violence. For the first time in years, he felt uncertain about a battle. "All ships open fire," he ordered. The three vessels unleashed their plasma batteries simultaneously, filling space with deadly energy beams. The attack was coordinated and precise, designed to overwhelm any ship's defensive systems. The human ship didn't even try to dodge. Instead, it just sat there and absorbed the punishment, its armor glowing white-hot under the plasma barrage. Watched in amazement as his most powerful weapons splashed harmlessly against the alien vessel's hull. The armor wasn't energy shielding or advanced deflector technology. It was just thick, crude metal designed to absorb incredible amounts of damage. When the plasma beams finally stopped, the human ship hung in space, scorched but undamaged. Smoke drifted from its armor plating, but all systems appeared operational. "My turn," came Captain's voice. Suddenly realized he had made a terrible mistake. Captain watched the tactical display as the three ships spread out around her vessel. Their plasma weapons had been impressive, she had to admit. Any civilian ship would have been vaporized instantly. But the Indomitable wasn't a civilian ship. "Damage report," she called out. "Outer armor plating is scorched but intact," came the reply from Lieutenant Park. "Hull temperature is returning to normal, all systems operational." Nodded, her ship had been built by people who understood that space was hostile and that other species might be even more dangerous. Earth's shipyards didn't waste time on elegant curves or artistic designs. They built ships that could take punishment and dish it out. "Target the lead vessel," she ordered. "Fire." The Indomitable carried 4 turrets, weapons that most galactic species considered primitive. They used electromagnetic fields to accelerate solid projectiles to incredible speeds. No energy beams, no exotic particles, just chunks of dense metal moving at significant fractions of light speed. The tungsten rounds left the ship at nearly 3% of light speed, crossing the distance to the vessel in microseconds. Commander shields, designed to deflect energy weapons, were completely useless against solid projectiles. The first round punched through the Blood Hunter's shield array like it wasn't there. The second round tore through the ship's armor plating, creating a hole the size of a small vehicle. The third and fourth rounds hit the ship's engine section, causing a cascade of explosions that lit up space with brilliant flashes. "Direct hits on the lead vessel," Lieutenant Park reported. "Their engine section is venting plasma, they're losing power." Could see the ship spinning helplessly, trailing debris and glowing gas. Its elegant hull was torn open like paper. The other 2 ships were already moving, trying to flank her vessel from different angles. "Sir, the remaining ships are attempting to close to boarding range," her tactical officer warned. "Let them come," replied. She activated ship-wide communications. "All hands prepare for nuclear missile deployment, standard spread pattern." In the depths of the ship, missile tubes opened and armed their deadly cargo. Nuclear weapons were considered barbaric by most galactic civilizations. They were too destructive, too crude, too likely to cause collateral damage. Most species had banned them centuries ago in favor of more precise energy weapons. Humans had never stopped building them. The first missile streaked toward the Night Stalker, its fusion warhead armed and ready. The ship's point defense systems tried to intercept it, but they were designed to stop energy beams and plasma torpedoes, not solid projectiles moving at high speed. The nuclear warhead detonated 50 meters from the vessel's hull. The explosion was brilliant even by space warfare standards, a miniature star that briefly the local sun. When the light faded, the Night Stalker was a twisted wreck, its hull cracked open and venting atmosphere. "Second target neutralized," Lieutenant Park announced with grim satisfaction. The remaining ship, Dark Wing, was now running for the edge of the system. Its captain had apparently decided that profit wasn't worth dying for. "Should we pursue, Captain?" asked her first officer. Considered it. The smart tactical decision would be to destroy the fleeing ship before it could report back to the hegemony. But there were more important things to worry about. "Negative, let them run. They can spread the word about what happens when you attack ships under human protection." She turned her attention to the transport. The gentle current was still drifting helplessly, its life support systems failing and 5,000 civilians depending on her crew for rescue. "Damage control teams, prepare for emergency docking procedures." Medical teams stand by to assist with hypothermia cases. Engineering, I want emergency life support modules ready for transport in 10 minutes. The Indomitable moved slowly toward the refugee ship, its massive hull dwarfing the smaller transport. As they approached, could see through the viewports. The inside looked scared but hopeful. Many of them were children pressed against the windows to stare at their rescuers. "Captain," came a transmission from the ship. "This is Captain We don't know how to thank you. We thought we were going to die." "You're not dead yet, Captain. We need to work fast to get your life support back online." His crew moved with practiced efficiency. Emergency airlocks connected the two ships, and human engineers in environmental suits crossed over to assess the damage. They watched in amazement as these aliens from a death world worked calmly in conditions that would kill most galactic species. Chief Engineer's voice came through the comm system. "The damage is extensive but repairable. Their quantum core suffered a cascade failure, but I can bypass the damaged sections and restore partial power. Give me 3 hours." "You have 2, replied. "How's their life support?" "Critical. These people are tough, though. They've managed to conserve heat better than I expected. We can stabilize their environmental systems within the hour." Watched her crew work through the external cameras. Human engineering was often mocked by other species as crude and overbuilt, but it was also reliable and adaptable. Her people could make repairs with basic tools that other species would consider impossible. "Captain," came Captain's voice again. "May I ask you something?" "Go ahead." "Your ship, your weapons, they're unlike anything in our databases. How did humans develop such technology?" Looked out at the debris field that had once been 2 warships. The twisted metal drifted silently in space, testament to the effectiveness of human military engineering. "Where we come from, Captain, everything tries to kill you. The gravity is crushing, the weather is violent, and the predators are relentless. We learned early that if you want to survive, you need to be tougher than everything else. But your weapons are so primitive, solid projectiles and nuclear explosives. Most civilizations abandoned such things ago." Smiled. "That's because most civilizations evolved on nice, safe worlds where they could afford to be civilized. We didn't have that luxury. On Earth, the simplest solution is usually the best one. Kinetic weapons don't care about your fancy shields. Nuclear explosives don't care how advanced your armor is. They just work." She paused, watching her engineers install emergency heating units throughout the ship. "The galaxy is full of species that have forgotten how to fight," she continued. "They've become so civilized, so refined, that they've lost the edge that kept their ancestors alive. Humans never had that luxury. We still remember what it takes to survive." As if to emphasize her point, the wreckage of the Blood Hunter drifted past its hull torn open and its crew dead or dying. They had thought they were predators, but they had encountered something that evolution had designed to be harder to kill than anything else in the galaxy. "Your life support is stabilized," Chief reported, "working on main power now." Felt a sense of satisfaction. Her ship had destroyed 2 enemy vessels and saved 5,000 civilians, all in the space of a few hours. It was exactly the kind of mission that human ships were designed for. "Captain," she said, "once we get your engines running, we'll escort you to your destination. Consider it a welcome gift from humanity." "A welcome gift." The galaxy's about to learn that humans don't abandon ships in distress, and we really don't like bullies. Through the debris field, could see the surviving ship disappearing into hyperspace, carrying word of this encounter back to their commanders. Soon, every raider and pirate in known space would know that attacking refugee ships might bring human warships down on their heads. It was a lesson the galaxy needed to learn. The docking tube between the 2 ships hummed with activity as human engineers finished their repairs. Captain walked through the connecting passage, her heavy boots echoing in the metal corridor. She was about to meet the captain face to face for the first time. The atmosphere on the ship was warm and humid, designed for a species that had evolved in tropical conditions. Could feel the difference immediately. Her environmental suit compensated for the change, but she knew that without it, the conditions would be uncomfortably hot for a human. Captain was waiting in the main corridor, surrounded by several of her officers. His first impression was how delicate they looked. They were tall and thin, with blue-green skin and large eyes adapted for low light conditions. Their movements were graceful but seemed almost fragile compared to human physiology. Captain said, her voice soft and musical even through the translator. I cannot express how grateful we are for your help. Removed her helmet, revealing short dark hair and the weathered features of someone who had spent years in space. Several took an involuntary step back when they saw her uncovered face. Humans, she knew, could be intimidating to species that had never seen a predator species up close. Just doing our job, Captain replied. How are your people holding up? Much better now that we have heat and breathable air again. Your engineers work miracles. We've never seen repairs done so quickly or efficiently. Chief appeared from around a corner, his tools still in hand. Like all human engineers, he was built solid and practical. They stared at his muscular frame with obvious amazement. Engines are back online, Captain, he reported. I've bypassed the damaged quantum core sections and restored about 60% power. Should be enough to get them to their destination safely. Any long-term problems? Asked. Nothing critical. They'll need a full refit at their colony, but this ship will hold together until then. Looked at the engineers who had been watching him work. Your people learn fast. I showed them the bypass procedures in case they need to make adjustments during the trip. One of the engineers stepped forward hesitantly. Sir, if I may ask, how did you repair a quantum core with such simple tools? Smiled. Sometimes the old ways are the best ways. You don't always need fancy equipment to solve a problem. Just need to understand how things work and be willing to get your hands dirty. Could see the wonder in the alien's eyes. Humans did things differently than the rest of the galaxy. Where other species relied on advanced automated systems, humans preferred to understand their technology and fix it themselves. Captain said quietly, "May I speak with you privately?" Nodded and led her to a small observation lounge. Through the transparent walls, they could see space filled with debris from the destroyed ships. The sight made shudder. I've never seen anything like what happened out there, she said. The way your ship fought, it was like watching a force of nature. They are bullies, replied. Bullies only understand one kind of language. But your weapons, your tactics, they're so different from standard galactic military doctrine. Nuclear weapons haven't been used in warfare for centuries. Most species consider them barbaric. Looked out at the debris field. Most species haven't had to fight for survival every day of their existence. Earth taught us that the universe doesn't care about being civilized. It only cares about results. She turned to face the captain. Tell me about your people, Captain. Where are you heading? New Haven Colony in the Reach. It's a beautiful world, very much like our, peaceful, with gentle weather and no dangerous predators. My people have been planning this migration for decades. Sounds nice, said, though she privately wondered how a species could survive on such a world without growing soft and vulnerable. Captain, may I ask about your world? What is Earth like? Smiled, though there was no humor in it. Earth tries to kill you from the moment you're born. The gravity is more than twice what you're used to. The weather ranges from freezing to boiling, sometimes in the same day. We have predators that hunt in packs, diseases that can wipe out entire populations, and natural disasters that can destroy whole cities. Looked horrified. How does anyone survive in such conditions? By becoming harder to kill than everything else on the planet, replied. Humans evolved in an environment where only the strongest and most adaptable survived. We learned to work together to plan ahead and to never give up no matter how bad things got. She gestured toward the human crew members working throughout the ship. Every one of my people is a product of 4 billion years of evolution in hell. We're built to survive things that would kill most species instantly. Our bones are dense, our muscles are redundant, and our nervous systems are designed to function under extreme stress. Is that why your technology is so robust? Exactly. We don't build things to be elegant or artistic. We build them to work when everything else fails. Our ships are designed to take damage and keep fighting. Our weapons are designed to solve problems permanently. A young child appeared in the doorway, looking curiously at the two captains. The child's parent quickly appeared and started to pull the youngster away, but knelt down to the child's level. Hello there, she said gently. The translator made her words soft and unthreatening. The child stared at with wide eyes, clearly fascinated by this strange alien who had saved their ship. After a moment, the child reached out and touched his hand. Your skin is so warm, the child said in wonder. Smiled, that's because humans run hot. We need lots of energy to power all our muscles and organs. The child's parent looked nervous but nodded encouragingly. It's all right, Captain is our friend. Are you really from a death world? The child asked. I am, replied. But don't worry. Humans only fight things that threaten innocent people. We're very good at protecting those who can't protect themselves. After the child left with their parent looked thoughtful. Your arrival in galactic politics is going to change everything, isn't it? She said. Stood and looked out at the stars. The galaxy has been peaceful for too long. Species like they have been preying on the weak because no one was willing or able to stop them. That's about to change. How many ships do humans have? More than you might think, and we're building more every day, turned back to the captain. We've spent the last 50 years exploring the edge of known space, mapping systems and establishing outposts. We've encountered species like the before. Most of them learned to leave us alone. Through the ship's communication system, Chief's voice announced that all repairs were complete, and the ship was ready for independent travel. Time to go, said. We'll escort you to the edge of this system just to make sure no other raiders show up. As they walked back toward the docking tube, asked one more question. Captain, will we see more human ships in this part of space? Paused at the airlock. Captain, the galaxy just learned that there's a species willing and able to respond to distress calls in regions where no one else can reach. Every refugee ship, every colony transport, every scientific expedition that finds itself in trouble. They're all going to start hopping that a human ship will answer their SOS. She sealed her helmet and prepared to return to her own ship. And they won't be disappointed. Humans don't abandon people in need. It's not in our nature. 6 hours later, the gentle Current was safely on course for New Haven Colony, its engines running smoothly and its passengers warm and safe. The Indomitable had already disappeared into hyperspace, heading back toward the edge of human space where other ships might need assistance. But the news of what had happened would travel faster than any ship. Within days, every species in the galaxy would know about the refugees who had been saved by mysterious warriors from a death world. They would hear about weapons that could punch through any defense and about a species that treated rescue missions like military operations. The age of human isolation was ending. The galaxy's bullies and predators were about to learn that their victims now had protectors. And those protectors had been forged in the fires of the most dangerous world in known space.